Let's see. I'm against Talon. Talon has Ignite too. He's probably gonna choose me. Also, how did they get first blood already on... What happened down there that they already got the Kaisa? Damn. Is there nerfing Skarner's CC a bit? I mean, yeah. And I don't, like, I know, well, to be fair, I know in pro play Skarner's, like, genuinely perma-banned. Like, he's not allowed in the game. He's just permanently, like, banned every single game. But, like, I don't care what they do to most of these champions. Because, again, the tank items are the issue more so than the tanky champs. So I don't really care at the end of the day. I'm just going to keep playing League for a few games a day until I get annoyed, and then I'll just probably stop playing League for the rest of the day. I'm not going to, like, I put myself into too much of a bad mood by forcing games in a meta that I don't enjoy, so it's like, I just don't have to forcefully play the game in a bad meta for me. Even if Kindred is broken. I should be paying attention there, but oh well. It's my fault for looking at chat. Which meta is my favorite? Whatever meta isn't decided by a pair of boots. I don't care what meta we end up in, as long as it's not decided by a pair of tank boots, and then the tanks get to be invulnerable due to, or, well, people in general, not even tanks, people like Jace too, but they get to be invulnerable due to perma shielding and healing from the items. I don't really care. I genuinely don't care. Hard for Kindred to be bad? Ah, yes. Kindred has so much adaptability that it's so hard for Kindred to be bad that 99.9% of the player base who plays Kindred is hard stuck in silver, and perma complains that the champion's weak because they don't know what they're doing. Kindred can be bad very easily. It's just Kindred's not bad right now because Kindred excels with Trinity and Kindred is good against tanks in general. That's why Kindred's not bad right now. Also, Kindred's good against things like Viego. One's gonna be over here. He has Ignite. There's been very many years where in seasons where Kindred has been bad for a lot of it. Like, it's not just some, oh, Kindred's just adaptive. No, it's just the items for Kindred work fine. And Kindred's good against the current meta, even if the meta's not fun. They just killed build variety by nerfing the shit out of on-hit items.
An ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy.
I can't actually win that 1v1.
There are so many ways to die.
Yeah, I don't care about what meta it is. I just want the meta to not revolve around pretty much becoming infinite stacking HP and vulnerable tanks with perma healing and perma shielding, and then a pair of boots just taking away like 20% of my damage early game. That's all I want for a meta. I couldn't really care less what else. I'm not running straight there simply because I'm going to get my level 5 before I do that. They're going to probably force that, but it'll be fine either way. Basically nerf Heartsteel and Unending Despair and Fimbulwinter. If Tabby, Unending Despair, Fimbulwinter, and Heartsteel got nerfed, the game would be more fun for me specifically. But again, and I will say this, there's people who enjoy the meta. It's not like the meta needs to pertain to me, and the metas do change occasionally, although this meta's been going for too long, but I don't really care, because again, I can just not play as much during this meta, and play when the meta changes. It doesn't have to be balanced for me, I'm fine with that. I know if for some reason this video gets uploaded to YouTube too at some point, I know there's going to be one of the weirdos in the comments who's like, oh, well, just don't play the game if you don't. It's like, dude, shut up. You're allowed to voice your opinion if you don't enjoy something in a game. Somebody asked me my opinion, I'm allowed to voice it before the idiot in YouTube tries to like be the fucking but actually guy. Like they try to do like every time because they're weirdos. You're allowed to dislike a meta and voice your opinion if you dislike something. It's okay. You don't have to suck Riot's dick permanently. You just been playing random stuff in Swift play? Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I've been playing a lot of Valorant, Marvel Rivals, and DVD lately, and there's nothing wrong with that.
One dies shows how one lives.
Go up season 11 meta. My favorite season in recent memory was well, surprisingly, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised. Last year, the first split of last year was my favorite season in probably since like season 10. Season 14 split 1 was super fun. Like every class of champions had good items that were all decent and like and viable, and like everything was fun in my opinion. And then they started nerfing things into the ground really heavily. They started nerfing the assassin items into the ground. Then they reworked the ADC items in split 2 to scaling with level, and ADC mid lanes became broken. So then in split 3 they nerfed all the ADC items into the ground. They overbuffed the tank items. The mage items also, like anything that isn't a Leandry's build for the most part, and it's like, yeah. But one of season 14 though was super fun in my opinion. That was the most fun I had in the league in a while.
It meets us.
Storm, so okay, Leandry's isn't what got Lilia nerfed. Lilia got fucking nerfed because of split 2 and got fucking gutted pretty much. Same with Talia jungle because of fucking split 2 when they added Faded Ashes. Faded Ashes ruined AP junglers. Now if you play an AP jungler and it can't build Faded Ashes, your clear is insanely slow, and then on top of that, with your clear being insanely slow, it also just feels fucking horrid, for one, to not build like fucking a Faded Ashes champ. My turn didn't press R. 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 What do you mean? What do you... What you had... Okay, I thought he was gonna blame me. I was like... I thought he was gonna blame me. I was about to be like, we're gonna fight. You didn't press R there.
The weft and weave of fate guides.
The hunt is back on.
Yeah, Faded Ashes got AP junglers ruined. Faded Ashes was a terrible thing to add to the game. Now you like never see AP junglers anymore.
We are not
You need, oh, Lilia needed a nerf like 4 patches in a row. Lilia's still decently viable now. She's still like pretty good overall, but Lilia needed it. Lilia was stupid. But to be fair, Faded Ashes just never should have been added because AP junglers didn't need a faster clear time when they were already the fastest clearing junglers in the game.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Like, Lilia doesn't feel good right now, by any means, in my opinion, but she's still decent. But I do agree with what you mean. Well, right, like, with all the nerfs, Lilia lost for one. There's no build variety for Lilia at all anymore either. But, like, she lost so much, and now she doesn't feel really... Like, she doesn't feel like she has any uniqueness about her anymore. Like, you don't have the hit and run, you don't have the clear speed. Like I mean, I guess you kind of have the hit and run, but what's real here? They're going to buy Leandry or something and permasol you. Like, you don't feel like you do anything really particularly good anymore, if that makes sense. I don't know if you, I don't know. Like, before, you know, that, Lilia used to have high enough AP ratios that you could do 4 fun off meta things and build like Leandry's, or not Leandry's, like Ludens and things if you wanted to go for a burst build for fun. Now you can't do that. Now you try that and you just don't, you lose. You try to do something like that and you just lose the game. Like, she still works. It's not fun. What sucks. Because when they added Faded Ashes, they used it as the excuse of, well, it'll be better for balancing AP junglers because that way it could also make certain like off-meta things that like be viable in the jungle, and then the then off-meta junglers, you know, like Brand and Zyra became even stronger in the jungle, and then they immediately got nerfed. And then they also nerfed every AP jungler, and it's like, oh, okay, so what happened to this being better?
An enemy has been slain.
Bunch of AP assassins. Okay, complaining about I'm sorry, but complaining about AP junglers, or not junglers, AP champs in general because they got nerfed when Storm Surge came out is irrelevant because AP champs and AP items are still insanely good. That's completely irrelevant. Like, they're all still fine for the most part, bar a few of them.
Those who let us
An enemy has been slain.
The thing about make everything OP balanced. In theory, making everything OP balanced sounds like it would make sense, but it doesn't work. Because by default, if you try to make everything strong and stupidly like good, there's just certain champions whose kits are like with the mechanics they have are just infinitely better than other champs, and then they shit on everything else and they overshine everything else. A good example, you want to see a game right now that's balanced with pretty much everything OP? Go play Marvel Rivals. Pretty much everything is insane in that game, but there's still even a meta to that game, and there's still some heroes that are just way too good compared to other heroes. And like, there's just not some heroes that are just not worth playing. Like Black Widow is just not fucking worth playing versus other heroes. In theory, it works if everything can do the same thing, but not everything can do the same thing.
wolf chases what was not willingly fed.
Imagine trying to flash out of a J4 like ult and then missing your lantern back into the ult. Jeff isn't OP. Jeff isn't OP because, again, if you compare him to the other supports are much better at doing what he wants to do. Yeah, Jeff's got a really good ult and he can be really good at healing and being like a second DPS. That's true and all. Except for the fact that you could play Mantis or Loki and pretty much be a secondary DPS, have a better ult, and have more value to your team as a support. Or you can play Luna Snow and have the strongest healing ult in the game. So there's no reason to play Jeff. Because the other things are also just stupidly strong. Like, Jeff's ult can single-handedly win the entire game and the entire round from his ult alone. But it's like, yeah, you can have that and get lucky and maybe get that 4-man ult. But you could just play Luna Snow and keep your entire team pretty much invulnerable for 12 seconds instead. And then have a Loki with that and make it 24 seconds instead.
The chase ends.
More lie ahead, dear wolf.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Because that electrocute being 70 damage at level 1 is stupid. And if you read the comment thread, it makes the people have no clue. They don't understand why it's stupid. There's people who are like, actually it's fine because assassins lost 20 adaptive damage from eyeball collection. It's like, you didn't get the fucking adaptive damage at level 1 with eyeball collection. The reason why a lot of people are like not okay with the electrocute change is 20 extra damage at level 1 on your rune is insanely strong on a burst rune. People don't understand that, and they keep going, well, eyeball lost the 20 adaptive damage. Yeah, you didn't have that damage at level 1 with eyeball. It's not the same thing at all. You didn't have that at level 1. Early game, like, base damages changed early game are a lot bigger. And for people who are going to be like, no, they're not. If your champion had its base damage increased on one of its ability by 20 and it's a carry or an assassin or a burst style champion, you're gonna fucking feel that at level 1. There's a reason why most of the time when champions like that get changed, they don't get the buff at level 1, they get it on their scaling damage. You know, like the Evelynn buff next patch, where Evelynn is getting buffed for her E damage is getting buffed later in the game, not at level 1. Because at level 1, 20 extra damage is huge.
All things great
But people don't understand that, like, whatsoever. It's the same thing as the people who, like, are like the Viego nerf stupid where he's losing 3 base 80 and people are like, that's not gonna do anything. It's like, one, yes it is, it does nerf his, it nerfs his Triforce build, and it also nerfs his clear. And all of his abilities.
Those who run from death.
But people just don't look at the game and think, hey, you know, early game matters a lot. People just, they're not willing to, like, think about it that way. They just see, oh, well, my character lost its adaptive force, so by default that means it should have to, early game buff makes sense. And it's like, no, not really.
Words, words, la la la, pew twang pew.
Are you imitating me?
Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
I wonder how they see me.
Yeah, out of curiosity, what is
Enemy has been slain.
Kindred's, like, level 1 base 80? 3 seems like a lot. 3 base 80 is a large change. Graves was kept in and out of meta from fucking 2 base 80, like, for a long while. But base 80, base stat changes are always really big, but people always pretend like they're not. But when you, like, base 80, or base changes to base stats in general are like things that, like, when you experience them throughout the entire game from level 1 onwards, and it adds up a lot throughout a game, and people don't realize that. It affects your ability, like, base 80 affects your ability damage, your auto attacks, items that scale with 80 and stuff. Like, it affects all of that, and people don't understand that that adds up a lot throughout a game.
Peacefully they go.
Hungry we follow.
Like, just for a little bit of irony, if Kindred lost 1 base 80 right now, Kraken would actually outscale Trinity at level 18, but right now, because of Kindred's base 80, Kraken doesn't outscale Trinity.
Tomorrow is a hope. Another.
It's literally the difference of what 1 base 80 would do.
Well hunted, dear wolf. Now, wolf.
I think. For breaker clear? Yep, exactly, Dev. Do I think? And yes, people are overreacting about the Evelynn thing. Evelynn doesn't struggle to one-shot squishies right now. Evelynn struggles because, for one, people can build tanky MR items, and
And then
50 like base damage later in the game isn't gonna make Evelynn like beat a tank who's building a Rookern or a Force of Nature or somebody who's building Maul and stuff. The 50 base damage isn't gonna change that. She's still gonna one-shot squishies, which that's the point of the change, is they, for one, Evelynn is a champion who's not allowed to be super good in the meta because the champion is really polarizing for a game, obviously. But it's not, all it's gonna do is make her better at one-shotting squishies, which she can already do. It's not gonna fix the fact of she's still gonna be countered heavily by the MR items in the game. Again, if Riot really wanted Evelynn to be meta, and they damn well know this because it's fairly fucking obvious, they've done it to a lot of other champions like Blitzcrank, like Renekton, other champs like that. If they really wanted Evelynn to be meta and not struggle against the tanky options, all they would do is just make it so Evelynn's empowered E breaks shields the same way that, like, you know, Renekton's empowered W does or Blitzcrank's ult does.
others follow your precious
If they really wanted that, but I mean, it's very obvious they don't want Evelynn to be meta. And, like, you can't really blame them for not wanting Evelynn to be meta. I can do that too, buddy. Wonder if I can solo this form of Vatican. Well, I know I can, but I wonder with this much health if I can. Okay, yeah, I can. That's easy. Would make her ban rate insane. I mean, yeah, that's the point, is if they wanted Evelynn to be meta, they would make her counter the things that counter her. Or, like, they would make the things that counter her not as strong. Obviously, they don't do that because that's not what they want to do. That's the point I'm making. Riot knows that they don't want Evelynn to be meta. Evelynn is a bad champion for the game. She's extremely polarizing and completely deletes half the cast in the game, in terms, well, not half the cast, but like a majority of the player base in the game. Considering a majority of the player base is like golden below and doesn't know how to play around assassins in the first place, but let alone a perma stealth assassin. Evelynn doesn't, like, is a champion who should never be meta in a game like League.
How long will we be together?
That's why anytime Evelynn is decent, she gets nerfed immediately. So she has very fair and adequate counterplay, but a majority of the player base doesn't use the counterplay or even think about counterplay. And unfortunately, you can say, well, you shouldn't balance around that when 80%, like, I think it's like 85% of the player base is below gold 4. You kind of have to, you can't ignore 85% of your player base as much as people want to pretend like they should. Especially considering that half the people who pretend like they should are part of that player base too. You can't just ignore it and just be like, it's fine. Because I hate to break it to you. You need your player base to kind of be happy if you want people to keep playing the game.
Always, dear wolf. Face to your house of control.
An ally has been slain.
Shine once more.
We win. Just having the right runes on, you know? Pretty easy. And the number will usually get better over time. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, that's satisfying that we had exactly 53,000 gold as a team. Anyways, that works.